folks. My spider sense is tingling. That must mean it is time for another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. Welcome to this week's episode, folks. We are excited for you to join us. With me, as always, is the black costume Spider-Man to my scarlet spider costume Spider-Man, Mr. Drew Celestino. Oh, there it is. Cracking it open.
It's time. It's Friday night. Let's do the thing. I need this, Carl. I'm still I need this and a cigarette, and I don't even smoke. After last night's bombardment. I wasn't ready for all that.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that over
Folks,
time.
2020, as far as the debate of the worst year ever, 2020 has officially been upgraded to a push.
I think we're still kind of a net negative, but I'll allow it.
So, and I forgot to mention my name, which is Carl Duty. Okay, folks, we gotta do some stuff here. Listen. We had a bunch of stuff planned before yesterday, and we're still going to do that stuff. And as much as we would love to just go over everything that happened yesterday, we're recording this on Friday night. Was it December 11th? Yesterday was Disney's shareholder meeting where they just rolled out everything they're doing for the next couple of years.
They unfurled.
And they just dropped a metric ton of happy, joy all over us.
They dropped trow, and we were not prepared for what they were packing.
No, we were not. So you're getting an episode this week, and you're getting an episode next week. And we have guests on both episodes. So as much as we love what Disney did yesterday, their timing couldn't have been worse as far as it pertains to our happy little show here.
We're going to get to as much as we can, but we're not going to do it all right now.
Right. So this week's episode is going to focus on the Marvel side of the news, because going into this week's episode, we were originally planning on primarily talking about a lot of the Spider-Man news that's been happening, and we're still going to be doing that. And then we're going to talk about the many offerings coming down the pipe from Marvel Studios. And then after that, we have a very special guest to talk to. As you heard in our last episode, we acknowledged the decision made by Warner Brothers to release their entire 2021 theatrical slate onto HBO Max. And we felt that the scope of that decision called for input and retrospective that is more expert than ours. I know it kind of sounds blasphemous to say that, as we are the living embodiment of all human knowledge on existence, and that's why you come to us.
Right.
But we do have a very special guest on the show, an expert in economics and marketplace behaviors. Mr. Paul DiPirro Jr. will be joining us later on in the show. And for these next couple episodes, folks, listen, we love you. We love hearing from you. Your emails, especially the past couple episodes, have been fantastic. But for right now, we're just going to scale them back a little bit to, nothing. And again, it's not because we don't want to do them. We do, but folks, there is just so much to go over. So really quickly, Drew, how has your week been?
Pretty good. Not a ton to really announce, but I think, Carl, we might have had a turning point this week. In fact, Saturday and then tonight might have been the clincher, but it's unsure. So Saturday evening is when I typically watch Mando. So hence why we typically don't do the Mando. Well, we've avoided talking about Mando on this show recently since season 2 started, mostly because I'm never caught up on Friday when it premieres. I always watch it the day after. So by the time we record, it's already outdated and it hasn't lined up for us just yet. Yeah. We'll get there.
We're going to review this season.
We promise we'll get there because it's Mando. It's great. We love it. So we will talk about it. But anyway, last week in my Mando viewing, Grant was up late, past his bedtime, and I was not waiting anymore to watch. So I'm like, I'm putting this on, and what happens with him happens. And he got really into it. Like, he was invested. Every time something happened that was like intense, he's like, "Oh no!" Like, and so yeah, he was enthralled by the Mandalorian. So I'm like, okay, this is a break from Puppy Dog Pals. I'll take it, even though I love me some Puppy Dog Pals. But we need a reprieve every once in a while. Right. And also I need a reprieve from the new voice of Rolly on the show because, oh my god, tragic voice recasting on Puppy Dog Pals. It is earth-shatteringly bad. My world's been torn asunder. Anyway, so he's all in on Mando. So I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, during the week it's hard to like get him to. It's complicated over here, man. That's all I can tell you. So tonight, though, he was going berserk, and he wasn't really actively watching anything. We had stuff on, but he was in full tilt crazy mode, just running around the house like a psychopath and screaming and yelling and throwing tantrums left and right, as a toddler is wont to do. So I'm like, you know what? He's not really watching. I'm going to put something on in hopes that it does catch his attention and maybe something happens. So I put on A New Hope. And sure enough, he locked in for
full stop.
He didn't watch the whole movie or anything, but he locked in for long stretches and was doing the whole "oh no" and like making noises and like when the lightsabers came out and stuff, like he's doing this gesture with his arms and his hands. I'm like, all right, I think we got him here. I think he's hooked. I'm not sure to what degree he's hooked, but he's hooked.
Right.
So yeah, that was exciting.
I have said it numerous times before, and I will say it to the day I join the Force myself. There is a magic to Star Wars that is most effective on children.
I've seen it happen.
And it's all Star Wars. Regardless of what we as older fans quantify as good or bad, that magic is throughout all of Star Wars, and it always has a way of grabbing children. I can't explain it, but I love it.
Well, we're going to keep them limited to the good stuff in this house, as far as I'm concerned. But in any case, that was exciting. He also is now requesting Mario. So I have to either play Super Mario or the other little life hack that I pulled out. Once I got him accustomed to what Super Mario looks like effectively. Like, I put on 3D All-Stars and just started playing 64 for him. Number one, because it's actually still a phenomenal game. Camera issues aside, it's still just a timeless kind of game that's awesome. He's really attracted to the voice as well in that game. He hears Mario go, woohoo! And he just kind of like lights up. So it's cool. So the life hack is when I don't feel like playing it and I have to make dinner, which I do every night. I just pull up the YouTube playthrough with no commentary, just the game, and just leave that on for him, and he'll sit there and watch Mario playthroughs.
Yep.
Good stuff. Yep. Good stuff. That aside, I not a ton happening on my end personally. I'm just trying to get myself hunkered in for the holidays and try and survive. So how are you?
Doing good. Similar kids with Star Wars experience today because they released two new ships in Star Wars Squadrons.
Ah,
And Julie was out with William, and as my workday finished, so I came upstairs, I started playing, and she came home with him. And when he came in, he's like, Dad, you're playing Star Wars game? That's what we call Squadron, Star Wars game.
sure.
And I'm like, yeah. And buddy, guess what? There's new ships. Drew, you would have thought that, like, The Rock just showed up at WrestleMania. The pop off from this kid. And I was like, buddy, look, it's a B Wing. And look, this is a TIE Defender. He's like, oh, I want to fly the B Wing. So I was like, here you go, buddy. Knock yourself out. I put him in like the practice mode because I don't need my kids screwing up my online stats.
That's right.
Paltry as they may be. And he's just flying around. He's loving it. So, again, just more examples of that. Other than that, not a lot. My Christmas shopping is pretty much 95% done, I would say. Yeah, pretty much.
I'm kind of in the same boat, although I'm sure you experience this as well because everyone I talk to, we all have the same reaction. Does time have any meaning anymore?
No,
okay,
no, it does not.
So you realize it is December 11th.
Yep.
What happened? Where did that time go?
Time existed in both an accelerated and decelerated state at the same time.
That is accurate. So, yeah.
Whereas we feel like 2020 has gone on forever. And I'm fully expecting on December 31st
all the clocks just don't change.
11:59 to turn to 11:60.
Yeah.
And then 11:61.
It just doesn't stop.
But at the same time, just like, weren't we just grilling outside?
Yeah, I know.
So,
but my point there was, it is December 11th, and though I think I got the jump on all the Christmas shopping, I should probably do a real close inventory on my Christmas list this weekend and make sure, because we're running out of time to get things shipped here to. But I think I'm good.
Yeah, I would say if you want the stuff for Christmas Day, you need to be done by the end of this coming week at the latest.
Yeah, so, like I said, I think I'm good, but I need to, much like Santa, I need to make my list and check it twice.
Yep. William got an ultimate Hot Wheels garage that I have down here in the basement.
Spoilers. And
I can just imagine the amount of profanities that will be uttered by me while I assemble this thing on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
So,
it's a rite of passage, Carl.
Yep. So, folks, those were our weeks. And again, we do love to hear about your weeks. Even though we're not going to talk about them for the next couple episodes, we still love to hear about them. So if you want to reach out to us and communicate with us, you can do so at the following social media locations. You can follow us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/devilsdopod. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. Drew, that being said, let's move on to the news, because there's a lot of it.
All right.
So, like I said, this is going to be a Marvel-centric news segment. We're not going to start with the stuff that was available in the investors meeting. We're going to start with what we originally intended to start with, and that is over the past couple weeks, we have been just bombarded with news and reports of what is going to be going on with the next Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. So here's what we have officially.
Yeah, it's very important we make some delineations between official and what we are hearing.
Reported.
Yeah.
Yeah. So officially, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange.
Okay.
It was revealed that in the investors thing yesterday, Disney did that Spider-Man 3, Doctor Strange, Madness of the Multiverse, and WandaVision will all have ties together.
And okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. So Doctor Strange is in it.
Yes.
Drew, we knew Jamie Foxx was cast in it.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred Molina has been officially cast in this film as Dr. Octopus. Folks, for those of you who remember, Alfred Molina played Dr. Octopus, my all-time favorite Spider-Man villain, in, still to this day, my favorite Spider-Man film, Spider-Man 2.
I don't think you're making a particularly hot take. That's pretty much. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah. On the tails of that, this is what we have reported. I'm just gonna go down the line.
Yep.
Andrew Garfield.
Uh-huh.
Kirsten Dunst. Emma Stone. More loosely, Tobey Maguire. There have been reportings of a costume fitting. And Drew, the biggest one of all.
For us, anyway.
For us here at the Devil's Due. Charlie freaking Cox, Matt Murdock himself, Daredevil, as we love him, as we want him. Drew,
look,
this is insane.
It's. I mean, the Doctor Strange movie is called The Multiverse of Madness, and this is madness. I don't know how to. I'll be honest. I have mixed emotions about all of the Spider-Verse stuff coming together in the live-action MCU kind of thing, assuming that is what is happening. I'm certain. I mean, look, if this is all true, then that certainly seems to be what's happening, right? I feel like it's all, and the execution might change my mind, but just follow me for a moment. It's so much. And I'll come back to Charlie Cox in a second. I just want to get my thoughts in order on Spider-Man 3 and all this Tobey Maguire and yada yada. I feel like as much as I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I feel that he is the best Peter Parker and Spider-Man that we've had on screen. Whereas I think like Tobey might have been a great Peter Parker, but he was kind of a wimpy Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, kind of a terrible Peter Parker, but a really good Spider-Man, if that makes any sense. I've always kind of felt that way.
Yeah.
But Tom Holland, best of both, in my opinion. He's fantastic. I love him. But I feel like he has not had a signature moment where he has truly embodied and owned the character of Spider-Man in the MCU yet. And he's had memorable moments. Unfortunately, the one that comes to mind for me as being the most memorable is when he says, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good," and dies. So I feel like there's so much happening here. I feel like he's getting overshadowed in his own franchise. Now, granted, all this casting and all this stuff could be a 5-second cameo, blink and you miss him in the movie, and for all we know, Tom Holland is gonna ascend into Spider Godhood in our collective memories with this movie. That could very well be the case. I'm just saying, all this news and all the it just feels like, I don't know. It feels a little out of character for the MCU, but then again, the MCU is certainly in a period of rapid expansion, as we know. So, anyway,
yes.
Charlie freaking Cox.
So, really quickly, just to go back to that, I think I can explain why you feel that way about Tom Holland. And this kind of goes back to a lot of the stuff that I've been saying about the Tom Holland films from the beginning. and about this particular incarnation of Spider-Man is that he's essentially been relegated to a sidekick role.
Yes.
Up until Endgame, he was Tony Stark's sidekick, and now reports like with the new film that Doctor Strange is going to take over that mentor role. That I feel is one of the few things that they've done that have been a detriment to the character. Because one of the strongest parts about this character is how he learns through his own mistakes on his own. And we saw that in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. We saw that also with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Like, because of the universes they existed in, where they were not in a larger universe with other heroes in it, they were allowed to have those defining moments. Whereas, because Marvel made the choice to do the high school age and the essentially a sidekick role, we haven't been able to really fully embrace that aspect of the character in Tom Holland.
But Charlie Cox, though.
Charlie freaking Cox.
If that's true, now I don't want to get too. I just got done saying that we could be looking at mere cameos, glimpses into other universes that just as easily go away inside of 5 minutes of screen time. You know what I mean? So right. Charlie Cox's Daredevil could be part of that. But it feels too outside, you know what I mean, to be a throwaway.
Yeah, because first off, he's not in a different universe. They exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Do they though? Is it
Drew? It's been established. They said it when they made it. They've made multiple references in numerous shows. They exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right. I mean, all right. I mean, it's a. I don't want to be Mr. Technical and semantics, but it's been a pretty one-way acknowledgement up till now. So, yeah, fingers crossed. If we get Daredevil in the MCU officially, like as in he's Peter's buddy or Peter's lawyer, okay, then I'm all for it, and let's go. Let's get Daredevil back. And we know that the cast of the show is roaring to go. So,
right.
Give me the Kingpin. Give him to me now.
Given the stinger from Far From Home, the J. Jonah Jameson identity reveal stinger, I think it's very feasible that he will in fact be there as Peter Parker or Spider-Man's lawyer.
I'm here for this.
Some sort of defamation suit or something, what have you. And because, we're talking about Peter Parker and Aunt May, we're not talking about, their income level. We're not talking Tony Stark level. So Matt may be the lawyer that they can afford.
Way to help out the kid, Happy Hogan. And
yeah, right.
Anyway, we'll see how this all shakes out, but it's obviously, if it's true, that's very exciting. I think we all feel like that Daredevil had more to give, and hope maybe this is the first step to getting it.
And the presence, if it's officially confirmed that yes, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to be in it. I think, at this point, kind of the level they're looking at doing this with probably lends to more than just a quick 5-minute cameo, but I don't think it's going to be full blown,
they all team up at the end.
Squad involvement. I mean, I'm sure we'll get, because Marvel knows what they're doing. So I'm sure we'll get that money shot, that money moment with all three of them doing something particularly spider-ish on the screen. But here's another thing. Involving the other Spider-Men allows them to resolve the Peter's identity getting ousted in classic comic book fashion.
Oh,
I mean, think about it. You've got, whatever they're going against is resolved. Everybody's getting ready to go back to their dimension and whatnot. Tom Holland Peter goes, hey, I need a quick favor.
Ah, I see.
Gives one of them his suit, and then Peter and Spider-Man, air quotes, make a public appearance together.
Gotcha.
So clearly, Peter Parker can't be Spider-Man because here's Peter Parker and here's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Classic comic book fare.
It is. We'll see if it shakes out in live action. This is all a lot. This is a lot. But clearly, as we are processing a lot with Spider-Man, Marvel decided that wasn't enough to process.
Oh, yeah.
We needed more.
40 hours of pleasure all at once.
I don't even know where to begin, Carl. I'm going to let you drive because we have so much.
Okay,
we have so much.
Yeah. So Marvel had their investors meeting yesterday, like we said, and they rolled out everything, or Disney had their investors meeting and rolled out everything they've got coming down the pipe. Now, couple caveats here. This is not all stuff that's coming out this year, 2020, 2021. This is probably, some of this we're going to get soon. Other things we're going to get later on down the road, but have been officially confirmed as in development and being made. A lot of stuff we knew about. Some stuff is brand new announcements. I would be very, very surprised if everything that was announced yesterday is all Phase 4.
I don't even know.
I'm expecting some of this to be Phase 5 or what have you.
I don't even know how the phases work anymore post Endgame. Like, we're in uncharted waters here. It's and not to mention COVID is just like throwing everything into total nebulous territory. Like, where is Black Widow? Where does that fit in anymore at all? I think it's pretty obvious they're waiting to see how Warner Brothers does before they make any decisions on Black Widow. So phases at this point, dude, I'm shrugging my shoulders. I have no idea. I'm just taking all this stuff as it comes, and we can discuss it, piece by piece.
Right. So let's start in the theaters, and then we will go to Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
And folks, trust me, everything we're talking about here subject to change.
Yes.
It's an unknown world we live in. So let's start with the most recent thing that we've been looking forward to for a long time, Black Widow. They confirmed that Black Widow, as of now, is still being retained as a theatrical-only release. They're not saying it's coming to Disney Plus anytime soon. They're still saying theatrical release date, May 7th of 2021. Now, based on some things we may hear later in the episode, that may very well be the case. They showed the entire cast of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which just recently wrapped principal photography. Not going to lie, very excited about this one. Very loose mention of the Eternals. They basically said, hey, we're making the Eternals, as you know. A little bit of loose mention of Spider-Man. Doctor Strange, the Madness,
Multiverse
of Madness. Said, it's still on track for March 25th of 2022. And Spider-Man on track for December 17th, 2 days after my birthday. Happy birthday to me. 2021. So, Thor, Love and Thunder. Casting announcement. Christian Bale
Yeah.
is playing a character I've never heard of.
Oh, Carl, you need to read yourself the Jason Aaron Thor run, because it's one of those definitive runs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how for forever people have been like, the Walt Simonson Thor run is the Thor run. It still is, but Jason Aaron's Thor run is now in that pantheon of like mandatory reading. If you want to read Thor, if you were to say, I want to read Thor, what do? I would say, here you go, Thor: God of Thunder by Jason Aaron, and it's incredible. And the villain in that is Gore the God Butcher. He is basically an alien who, as his name implies, hunts, kills, and butchers gods who he blames for a lot of society's ills. Great stuff, and this is going to be pretty wild. That is mega casting, borderline stunt casting in a way, plucking, Batman for a Marvel role, but not the first time this has happened, looking at you, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting news for me, because, again, I love that arc. I know that character, and Christian Bale is obviously a very, very capable actor. So that's pretty exciting.
All right. So moving on to a little more melancholy news, Kevin Feige confirmed that for Black Panther 2, the role of T'Challa will not be recast. I think this is a particular situation where there's no right answer.
Yeah, I'm really of two minds on this. So I out of respect for him, I absolutely understand why they wouldn't want to do it. That's the short, but forgive me for sounding. I don't mean to sound callous at all here. This is with all respect. I think that is short-term thinking. I think in the long term, they are doing themselves a bit of a disservice not to recast. Let me explain. Black Panther transcended in ways that I don't know that anyone could have really foreseen. That movie and that character and that world really resonated with a lot of people. And I feel like it deserves anyway, to go on. And that character deserves to go on. And all the kids that really had a new character they could look at and look up to and love and embrace. I think they, regardless of who plays him, I think they would accept someone else as long as Black Panther gets to go on. And I think that's the long-term thing I'm talking about. And I think it's that, I don't know. I feel like it's a disservice to everyone who really embraced this character, to just nip it in the bud now. I say that with all respect to Chadwick Boseman, because he's awesome, and the loss is still felt. So believe me, I understand all of the feelings on it, but I think I don't know. I don't think it's impossible to recast. Marvel has done it themselves for lesser circumstances. I think people would understand, given the circumstances, if they did recast. Is it fair to anyone that takes up that role that they have to live up to that level? Well, no, but I don't know. I think the audience would forgive almost any I want to say any drop in performance, which is kind of unfair because I have no idea who they would get if they were to do it. I think audiences would be very, very accepting of anyone that stepped into that role to carry it forward. Anyway, that's just what I think.
Yeah,
but again,
no.
I fully understand why they, out of respect to Chadwick Boseman, do not want to do it.
For the most part, I agree with you. I feel that with the cultural impact that the first film had, that the character had, especially given the world we live in today, there is a need for this character that outweighs our love and affection for Chadwick Boseman. From everything I've seen, they didn't say that they are not going to recast it ever. That this was in particular reference to Black Panther 2, which is slated for July 8th of 2022. So if they want to take like Black Panther 2 and say, hey, listen, this is going to be our moment of silence for Chadwick, and, do a film that explores the bigger world of Wakanda, as Kevin Feige said, then great, fine, I'm all for that. But I think when it comes to these films, superhero films in general, there's a reason they're being made. And I think it's important to remember that the character is always bigger than the actor. And I as well say that with all heartfelt love and respect for Chadwick Boseman. Losing him the way we did, when we did, was a body blow. It hurt. Losing him hurt almost as much as losing Carrie Fisher. And that's just because, my association with Black Panther obviously differs based on my personal ethnic background. I'm white. So that level of connection that the African American community had with this film and had with this character is something that I can't necessarily connect with. But recognizing that connection, that impact, is something I can do. So that being said, I still feel that the character should carry on in this media. So, moving on. Captain Marvel 2.
Yes.
November 11th, 2022. We knew we were getting Captain Marvel 2 at some point. Film will feature Miss Marvel as well.
Saw some footage of that too in the sizzle reel for the Disney Plus show. And all I could say about that really quickly is it was super adorable. They showed a clip of the Zoom call where they told the girl that's playing Miss Marvel that she was going to be cast as Miss Marvel. And she completely melted, and it was really heartwarming.
Yeah, that's awesome. You see the, like they did with Black Panther, people of color and of the specific ethnic background of Kamala Khan are making this series.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
I was super impressed actually with all of the people of color that are making that show. That's that's great to see. I couldn't have imagined that 4 years ago. Let's just say arbitrary number. Not for nothing, but this is why these characters really matter in a way. Representation matters, and characters like this allow so many opportunities. And it's really great. I don't know. It's really, really great.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023.
Yeah.
Pretty much all we know about that, but we did get some other Guardians news we're going to get to a little bit later. Blade 2023. Mahershala Ali.
Yep.
Let's go. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantum Mania.
It's like WrestleMania. Yeah,
but
sure.
With more quantum.
And more Kang.
Maybe even a quantum leap. Can we get a Scott Bakula cameo? Please.
Now that you mention it, I didn't know I wanted Scott Bakula in the MCU until just now. Let's go. Make it happen.
Yes, and Kang officially confirmed as the villain for Quantumania. The actor who played Kang, his name is escaping me at the moment, or if you want to help me out with this.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me. I apologize.
Bloods, and he was fantastic.
Forgive me, I don't have it in front of me. Let's see. Kang will be played by... you'd think I'd have it like right... Jonathan Majors.
Okay. So he was great in The Five Bloods. I'm really looking forward to this. This is gonna...
Those Ant-Man movies are low-key like some of the best Marvel movies.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah. I mean, they're so great.
They're fun. They're super fun.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of trepidation, possibly concern with the wholesale introduction of multiverses and potential time travel and all this stuff, because I feel that these things give too easy an eraser for a bad decision.
I share your concern. I share your concern. Ultimately, if it makes the stakes very murky, right?
Right.
But I do trust Kevin Feige and everyone else over there to keep these things grounded enough and make the emotional stakes very clear in all these movies so that we still have something to hold on to.
Yes, as we've mentioned, Marvel currently has an unlimited line of credit with us.
They have the platinum card.
Yes, they have the platinum card. They have the black card.
Yeah, that's true.
The obsidian card that just has the strip on it. It doesn't even have your name on it. Just like anything you want.
There's no. It's not even numbered. It's just accepted.
Yeah. So we move on now to what was probably the biggest announcement of the film section. Arguably the biggest announcement of the entire Marvel presentation. Drew, we're getting a Fantastic Four movie.
Yes. Now, you could say that we knew that, but we did not know that. We knew that they had the rights back, but we've been waiting for any sort of official acknowledgement that it was happening. Well, we got it. And it's going to be directed by John Watts, who directed the Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
The Marvel Spider-Man movies. And honestly, when I saw that, I'm like, you know what? Given the tone of those Spider-Man flicks, that completely works. This totally has my support. No casting. No casting. No other information.
Release date. Yeah, just a 4. They just gave us a 4.
That's all you needed.
It was a glorious, glorious 4.
I mean, it's as much as I can pop for the number 4 when it's not being held up by Ric Flair.
Right. So, super exciting. Fantastic Four officially coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You know what's interesting about it, though? Now that this just dawned on me. You know what's kind of funny / interesting about that? So, they obviously, all of the stuff that they announced was more or less all extensions or updates to things that we already kind of knew about in the MCU. So it's all familiar stuff.
Right.
Fantastic Four is like one of the big gun new things that they announced. And I think it's interesting now that I just said that, what they still have a big one in their back pocket that they have not said anything about yet, that being the X-Men. So yes. I'm just saying they still have that one waiting. So if They're just waiting for the right moment to blow our minds with that.
I am still of a mind, and I know Alan is going to hate me for saying this, but I'm sorry, it's what I think. X-Men mutants need to be kept on the shelf for a little while longer.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stink there that needs to get blown off.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, I agree. No, I totally agree.
So,
and I think when they do get around to it, they're going to present it in a way, because Marvel likes to do this with familiar stuff. They're going to present it in a way that you haven't seen before on screen.
And I cannot wait.
Same.
Cannot wait.
Same.
All right.
Moving on.
That is it for the theatrical releases. Now let's hop over to Disney Plus, the gift that just keeps on giving.
It sure does. Good thing I got good thing I re-upped in November in advance of the price increase coming this spring. Anyway, I'm not even mad. It's $1. I mean, it's another $1. I don't care.
It's $1.
Yeah, I really don't care. Let's go. Let's get in. Let's dive in.
All right. Let's dive into the stuff that is most ready to come out of the oven, the stuff we know the most about, starting off with WandaVision, premiering January 15th, 2021. So slightly over 30 days away from WandaVision.
Did you watch that new trailer?
I did.
This looks... Dude, look. We all scratched our heads when they announced that they were doing this show. Like, okay, sure. And now that I've seen like 2 trailers for it, this is the most weird, ambitious, and out there concept I could imagine for a MCU property. And I'm totally here for it.
This may be blasphemous to you, but honestly, this is what it looks like to me. It looks like someone got on the phone and called Grant Morrison.
I thought you were going to say that, and you're not wrong. Yeah, no, that's a good observation.
Like
he has nothing to do with it.
Trailer,
but
say that again.
I said he has nothing to do with it, but I totally get where you're coming from.
Everything in that trailer feels like Morrison.
It's so nutty. It is so bizarre, and I'm like totally on board with it. It is like super meta, and like it's taking place in different eras of television, and like and it's almost a horror show though, because like what is real, who is real, even the people that we see in the trailer don't know if they're real, and it's all very kind of spooky and weird. Yep, I'm here for this.
We've got Monica Rambeau in it.
Yeah.
There was even the ever so slightest flash of Kat Dennings' character from Thor.
Hey,
was in it.
Sign me up. That's all I'm going to say.
So yeah, it looks crazy.
I'm way more on board for that than I ever thought I would be.
And best of all, we're getting Vision in a comics accurate costume.
In the jokey way that they do it in the MCU, but fine. It's right. Fine. Yeah, this looks pretty nutty, and I'm told it's a lot of people they want to throw House of M around. Like, I don't think you're going to see any X-Men in this, but it is it is like that where we see Wanda reshaping reality around her to find some level of happiness for herself, and how she handles that or doesn't handle it. So I'm very, very much intrigued. This is super wild, and I can't wait to watch it.
So moving on to the next trailer we got, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Dude, come on. Inject this into my veins.
Coming March 19th, 2021.
Let's go. Give it to me now.
It looks like everything we wanted out of that little scene from Civil War.
In the car?
Falcon and Bucky in the car. They said they looked at that scene, just
Yeah.
that like 20-second exchange, and said, "You know what? Let's make an entire series
Yeah.
out of this."
Yep. Yeah.
It looks like buddy cop / midnight run type film.
Well, it's no secret that my favorite. I mean, I think if you were to put a gun to my head and say, what's your favorite MCU movie, I'm going to tell you it's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The tone of it, the espionage, the more grounded actiony kind of thriller, spy thriller kind of vibe about that movie. That I just love it. And these characters obviously tied into all that, and this show is going to pick up. It looks to me anyway. It's like it's going to pick up in that vein, and it's going to handle like the legacy of Steve Rogers and the Shield and Captain America and yeah, dude, let's just take my money. You already have my money. Take more, because this is everything I want, honestly.
So basically, these series are all kind of piggybacking off of one another. So WandaVision we get in January 15th. Falcon Winter Soldier we get in March 15th. Or no, I'm sorry, March 19th.
Okay.
And then in May of 2021, we get Loki.
Did you watch trailer for this?
Dude, I watched trailer for all of it.
Oh my God, I'm just making sure. What? You give me more of this too, please. Thank you.
No idea what you're doing, but I'm here for it.
Dude, he's DB Cooper. He robs a plane. What? What is going on? More universe hopping shenanigans. I wasn't sure if you noticed all that, but very clear to me that there's some universal stuff happening with this Loki show. As if we didn't know that already, based on the premise that the Loki that we're getting in the show is the one from an alternate timeline of Endgame.
Right. So, and the last scene of the trailer, that's just right off the page of his more recent comic appearances in the suit and the shorter horns.
Yeah.
Just looks fantastic. Owen Wilson.
Owen,
looks great in it.
Over under, how many wows are we going to get in the series?
Wow. That's great. So then bringing us into summer of 2021, something where we had heard about and we were like, okay, this could be cool. Then we saw a trailer for it and we're like, oh, this looks awesome. The animated series, What If?
Yeah, that was this. Honestly, after seeing the trailer, I'm more for this than I was initially. Animation isn't usually my jam, but the trailer for this looked super fun, so I will happily check this out.
And Jeffrey Wright as the voice of the Watcher seems to be pitch perfect.
Give it. I'm here for it all. But I mean, and that's just the stuff that we saw. They announced more.
Oh yeah, we're getting in that. So now
my
we're
God, there's so much more, Carl.
Stuff. There is so much more. We're not even halfway through it yet, as far as the TV stuff goes. All right, so now this is all stuff that has very loose release windows. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to kind of go down the line. Miss Marvel.
Yep.
We've already discussed Miss Marvel. We are excited about this. Diversity it offers. Can't look forward to it. Drew, on this next one, I'm just going to let you go.
Okay.
Because
go. What?
This, seems to be something it's not something that I've read, but I know you've read it.
Oh.
You discussed it ad nauseum on your previous podcast, and it is something that you love. And we got pictures.
Oh, I know. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That they're doing it to the level that was just unexpected. Drew, tell us how awesome Hawkeye is going to be.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if they're going to go full blown adaptation, but all I know is I have seen in set pictures of Hawkeye, I have seen Kate Bishop in full costume. I have seen Lucky the Pizza Dog, and I have seen the Tracksuit Mafia in the flesh with a moving van, which hang on, I want to make sure I get this moving van right. Tracksuit Mafia, Hawkeye, set picture. I'm Googling this as I speak because I laughed so hard. Where's the moving van? Show me the moving van. Oh, call a bro. Call a bro. So if you don't know about the Tracksuit Mafia, they're these Russian guys that all wear matching tracksuits, and they just go, bro, I saw him, bro. Bro. Everything is bro. It's amazing. It's great. This Hawkeye run is honestly, I mean, it's not just memes of bro and, what a goofy, pizza dog and yada yada. No. This Hawkeye run is actually pretty brilliant. I'm not the biggest Matt Fraction fan overall in comics, but I will say that he has written some of my favorite comics, which is like a weird thing to say about a guy that's written some of my favorite stuff. His run with Ed Brubaker on Iron Fist is phenomenal, and then his run here on Hawkeye, phenomenal and brilliant stuff. I recommend it highly. I cannot recommend it enough. The Hawkeye run by Matt Fraction and David Aja, or Aja, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Forgive me if I got it wrong. Amazing comics, some of my favorite comics in the last decade by a wide margin. And to see it being brought to life, I'm super stoked for it. I really hope it ends up as good as the comics were. And I really hope we do get an episode like they did in the comics where they did an entire issue. Again, I said the series was brilliant. This is why. There was an entire issue of a comic book written from the standpoint of Lucky the Pizza Dog and how a dog understands humans and how a dog understands the world. Like, instead of thought bubbles, you would get like scent bubbles and like things like that. Like, just brilliant stuff. I'm underselling it, honestly. Just that Lucky issue made, like, as a dog owner, it melted me and made me so, it was just so cool. But yeah, Hawkeye looks super cool as a Disney Plus series, so I really hope that it lives up because I'm here for it because the comics were dope.
All right, so moving on. Next item we have, again, something we knew was coming, but we got some huge, one might say, smashing details about it.
Go on.
She-Hulk.
Yes.
She-Hulk. Tatiana Maslany officially confirmed as Jennifer Walters. This was reported, but I guess this was an unplanned Marvel leak, and she tried to walk it back. But she's officially confirmed as Jennifer Walters. Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner, the Hulk, will make an appearance in the series. You kind of figured he had to at some point.
Right.
But it's nice to get the official confirmation. The big surprise here, though, Tim Roth is returning as the Abomination, a character we have not heard mentioned since a short that came on one of the DVDs for one of the very early films, and a character we have not seen since the second film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I did not expect to see Tim Roth's name attached to this, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Number one, Tim Roth's an amazing actor. And number two, yes. We have not seen or heard from the Abomination or much else out in that Hulk movie. Well, Thunderbolt Ross shows up, but that's about it. They don't talk about that first Hulk movie too much. So the Abomination's whereabouts have been pretty much a big question mark all this time. And looks
been in the raft.
Yeah. They might have even said that, but I don't know. Either way, he's back now. And yes, Carl, all I can say, hopefully this time around, he gets his ears.
Agreed. The ears are necessary.
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Will we get the return of the leader? Tim Blake Nelson.
Hope.
I mean, come on, man.
There is a lot of fertile ground to be farmed in the Hulk universe.
Oh yes.
Some things were planted in the Incredible Hulk, like the leader. We have yet to see arguably a cornerstone of Marveldom in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is Rick Jones.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We've yet to see. So there's a lot of stuff that could come in this. As far as what Marvel's future plans for Hulk proper are, one can only speculate. Obviously, I believe the film rights are still with Universal.
That's so unbelievable to me. It's just so unbelievable to me.
That's one of those things that are like, yeah, they're never getting that back. Which is tragic because I have the perfect solution for a Hulk film.
Oh?
You do a Hulk film and you set it during the 5 years in between Infinity War and Endgame, and you do the Joe Fixit story.
Okay.
Bouncer in Vegas.
Yeah.
The early experiments that we see the end result in Endgame with the Professor Hulk.
Yes.
You do Grey Hulk. You do the Grey Hulk, the Talking Hulk, the different personality.
I would love to see that.
Just do that story.
We'll see. But anyway, yeah, She-Hulk. I'm here for it because, as you know, I'm a big She-Hulk fan too.
Yes. And just so much awesomeness.
Possible crossover with Matt Murdock that we've talked about, but I think that Matt kind of leveled up to the big screen.
Possibly. True. I mean, with everything we're seeing with these, between everything we've seen with these, what we've seen this past season on The Mandalorian, and with everything that was announced for the Star Wars items,
which we'll get to later.
Yes, that's going to be a next episode thing. Big screen and small screen are not defined lines anymore. We're truly seeing crossover and integration on a level that we had hoped for a long, long time.
Yeah. More shows, Carl. More shows.
Yes.
Let's keep going. There's more.
So She-Hulk was 2022. Also 2022. Everything, actually, the rest of all this stuff is just listed as 2022. Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Very little known about this. Oscar Isaac, you know him as Poe Dameron, cast in this. I'm all
that is official? Mark,
as far as I know, that's official.
All right. I noticed in the press release for that they're really playing up the multiple personality kind of angle to it. So I'm very curious what that show is going to look like.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, both confirmed. Wow.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the brand new stuff that we had no idea was being done.
Yes.
And were just announced yesterday.
So I have thoughts on this.
Share your thoughts with the group.
And hey, look, I'm excited for all this stuff. Believe me, I am like, Marvel's my jam. So this is all just like, this is all one big bag of candy for me. I'm just like, I'm gorging myself. It's great. I never thought I would live to see any of this. So this is just all found money. Secret Invasion. Skrulls infiltrate and impersonate heroes and villains that we know in an attempt to take over the Earth and yada yada. Like the bad guys are doing a nefarious plot in the comics anyway, right? My thought though is, like, in the comics, the Skrulls are clearly villainous bad guys, and that's a bad guy plot. The Skrulls that we met in Captain Marvel, very different. They were, basically refugees and not villains. So I'm curious how that plays into a secret invasion, if you will.
Right. I think you're going to see an angle where they're obviously like not all Skrulls are they going to be the same as what we met in Captain Marvel, and there will be a faction that
up to no good.
Wants to be up to no good.
Okay. All right. That's just the thought I had. But hey, let's go. Let's go.
Ironheart.
Interesting, unexpected, but yet not when you think about it.
Unexpected but welcome.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of those things that Marvel did in the comics. How long ago was it? Was it 5-ish? Less within the last 5.
Yeah, within the last 5. I don't think it was longer than 5 years ago.
Kind of a Marvel's way of mantling characters in the way that DC typically does, in a way. A young black girl who is basically on Tony Stark's level with armor, right?
Yeah, intelligence and armor.
Yeah,
I believe her name is Riri Williams.
Yep.
So yeah,
it's well, I say it's surprising because in concept it just seems like so shocking that they would greenlight that, but at the same time, not really, because the precedent was set in the comics and the times we live in now. People are ready for this. People are ready for this for it to be a thing, and more importantly, for it not to be a thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's cool.
So moving on to the next thing, Armor Wars.
Yeah, dude. Of all the things I did not expect. Okay. I mean, if you want to give me a Don Cheadle TV show, fine. Take my money.
Yes, take my monthly subscription fee.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Rhodey is. It's basically described as Rhodey tracking down Stark armors, more or less, keeping them from falling into the wrong hands.
You realize we're probably going to get a Crimson Dynamo in this, right?
Oh God, I hope so. So here's the thought I had.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah. Armor Wars distinctly an 80s/90s comic storyline.
Yeah.
If you want to start to mine that era and address the quote-unquote Marvel villain problem, you know what series you can give me, Drew? Acts of Vengeance.
Okay.
Probably one of my all-time favorite stories from when I was younger.
I don't think you're going to get it, but go on.
No, I know. But the long and short of the story is all the villains get together and say, hey, we're always getting beat by our respective others. Let's change dance partners. Let's do a little bit of castling here. And so you've got, Magneto fighting Spider-Man, so on and so forth. I read predominantly with Spider-Man at that time. That's when Spider-Man got the Captain Universe powers and punched Hulk into orbit. That was always cool. So yeah, I just thought that was just a random thought. I thought it'd be fun. All right, so next thing up is I Am Groot. This was described as a series of shorts. I don't think they said if it was animated or not, about Baby Groot. Everybody's lovable, adorable Baby Groot.
Fine.
And lastly here, Drew, the thing that, ironically enough, after all of this stuff we've talked about, this is the one I might be most excited about.
Go on.
The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Written and directed by James Gunn.
Yes.
Yes,
holiday
please. Special. I saw a holiday special, and given it is December, my heart soared because I thought we were getting this now.
I know.
And then my heart dropped when I saw 2022.
I know. So far away. But doesn't that just sound amazing?
It just sounds all kinds of amazing.
There is so, like, that is so ripe for so much fun. It's ridiculous, and like the self-awareness of that something like Marvel. I know James Gunn has enough awareness to like know that when you drop the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, he is, if they don't steer hard into some really terabad but good riffs on the Star Wars holiday special, it is a missed opportunity. Like I expect it.
James Gunn tweeted shortly after his announcement, he unironically loves the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh my God. God.
And that's why he wanted to do this.
Oh man. This is going to be nuts.
It's going to be so great.
I don't want to like hype it up. We have 2 years to wait for it, but my God, like it just has so much potential for just complete madness in all the best ways. Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. The Guardians franchise is the franchise you do that with Marvel. Like if you want, because you could do anything with that franchise and it will work. You can get as nutty and as goofy as you want, and it totally will work. The characters are so they're so wacky. That has all the potential to be great. I don't want to call it great off the bat because anything can be bad, right? But come on, man, like that just sounds amazing.
You know what it is, Drew? You know what the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is? It's the guy in the white suit from that episode of The Simpsons where the gangs were all fighting on Homer's lawn.
He's gonna do something. You just know he's gonna do something cool.
And the guy in the white suit was just standing there, just waiting. And Marge brings Homer inside, and Homer's just like, "Oh, come on! The guy in the white suit hasn't done anything yet. You know, when he does something, it's going to be good."
We just have to make sure we don't miss it, like Homer did.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's going to be super fun. I don't know, man. Like, I'm gonna warn you. I'm not going to be this hype about the Star Wars stuff. Not to say I'm not hype about any of it. I do have stuff that I'm definitely in for with the Star Wars announcements. But this Marvel stuff to me, dude, is like, they could tell me just about anything, and I'm just going to be like, great, yes, thank you, please, more. All of this Marvel stuff to me is like awesome. It's just all awesome, and I say that because number one, I love Marvel. I grew up with Marvel, and I'm conditioned to love it. But number two, as we said, they have all the credit in the world because their track record is so good that I absolutely trust them to make all this stuff and make it super fun and enjoyable. I'm here for all of it. I am here for all of it. I can't believe I'm living in a world where I'm going to get to see all this stuff. So, yes. Sir. Please and thank you.
Crazy times we live in so many different ways.
And like I said, all of this, and they still have the X-Men in their back pocket.
Yep.
My God.
So great.
Do you think? Well,
no, go ahead.
This is going to take the air out of the sails of the interview we're about to do. But do you think like after this, AT&T and Warner Brothers just looked at each other like, well, crap. Well, crap.
So, all right, so that's going to do it for our news section.
Right.
Like we said, folks, there was just too much that came out yesterday to be done in one episode. So next week, we will do the Star Wars section. Spoilers, 90% of it Drew doesn't care about, and I'm excited for most of it.
That's not necessarily accurate. We'll go. We're gonna go line item, like we just did.
Yep, indeed. All right. So, like I said, we have an interview to get to. So, without further ado, here's our interview. Well, everybody, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we do have a very special guest with us today. There's been a lot going on in the entertainment world, as you all know, especially over the past couple weeks. And if you've been listening to our show, obviously know that we kind of like to speculate and think about what could potentially happen, what could potentially not happen. But especially with the size of the announcement that Warner Brothers made with streaming all their 2021 theatrical releases on HBO Max and same day theater release, I felt that this was a big enough decision and a wide reaching impact on a lot of the things we talk about, where I wanted to get an expert to talk about these things with. And folks, I think if we've established anything over this past year, it's that listening to experts, people who have actually studied and learned and trained, can be a good thing. So I decided to bring on an expert onto the show. We are joined tonight by Mr. Paul DiPirro Jr. He is my family's financial advisor, full disclosure. Paul and I went to high school together. We've been friends for a long time. But Paul is an expert in economics. And I will let him give you his bona fides and his resume and let him advise you why he knows what he's talking about. So, Paul, welcome to Devil's Due. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. When I hear the name Paul, I feel like I'm in trouble. You've always called me Paul. I go by PJ, but yes, Paul, PJ, whatever. So thanks, Carl. Good to be here.
Tell the people why. Basically, I don't want to ask for your resume, but give us a brief rundown of what you do for a living and how you're able to help us tonight.
Sure. I'm in my 16th year of being a part owner of a financial planning practice here in Williamsville, New York. We do financial planning for folks, but we manage right now about $750 million in assets. I sit for the past 16 years, probably 3 days of my week are on the phone with economists, getting forecasts, macro views on current economic conditions, so we can understand what the environment's like and help clients make decisions based on their portfolios. So yeah, I've had a little bit of experience with this.
All right. And you are also a fellow lover of many things pop culture. Your primary love being James Bond.
Yes.
And we often have many conversations during, before, and after our meetings. But let's get into the nitty gritty. So as I mentioned previously, Warner Brothers announced that their entire 2021 theatrical release will happen as well as theatrical release, but same-day streaming on HBO Max. They're not charging, so far at least we've heard that they're not charging a premium as Disney Plus tried to do with their Mulan release. This was a major announcement that we thought something like this might be coming, maybe one film here, one film there, but just the sheer scope of this announcement took a lot of us by surprise. So kind of give us a breakdown of how this decision may have been come to and what impact this is going to have, particularly on the theater industry, but on the entertainment industry as a whole.
Yeah, I think the decision something had to be done. There's so much uncertainty with when are we going to get back to, quote, normal. And we've seen my, beloved James Bond movie delayed now, twice is it? And it was originally supposed to come out earlier in the year, then backed up, and then now theoretically in April of next year, I believe. And time is money, and theaters are pushing back big releases, big budget blockbusters, which are, they're getting crushed. So I think, and I believe I was talking to you, Carl, not too long ago about the idea. There was rumors that Apple was trying to buy the rights to the James Bond film, No Time to Die, from from MGM to release, and that was going to be big news. Now, with the news yesterday or a couple days ago, with Warner Brothers literally releasing all of their films next year, set to be released on a streaming service, that just blew the door open. I think we were in the middle of a disruption. Historically, when you go and look in industries, there's events that occur that speed up change, and we were already kind of in that. I was looking at some trends, and I found this very shocking. Ticket sales in movie theaters have been stagnant since 1995. Revenues are going up, but ticket sales are not. And go ahead.
Now, when you say stagnant, does that you're taking inflation into account?
I'm talking not dollar amount. I'm talking tickets sold for movies on an annual basis. Going back to 1995, if you had a chart, it would literally be a flat line with a slight decline. Okay, pre-pandemic, obviously. So it was already dying on the vine, so to speak. Revenue from tickets has changed. The cost to go to a movie has obviously gone up exponentially. Movie theaters have tried to revamp the experience, but the home theater, and this is before streaming really came to be, flat screen TVs, home theater sound systems have taken off in the past decade, and people, quite honestly, are staying home now watching movies.
So what type is, for Warner Brothers and the associated production companies that made all these films, what type of loss are they potentially looking at with this decision?
So there's a few scopes here. There's the movie theaters business provides about 150,000 jobs in the United States. It's estimated that by the end of this year, we could lose up to about 69 to 70% of small business theaters permanently. That's an extinction event. That, along with streaming services that were already gaining momentum in as a medium, I think are just accelerating this. And I'm a fan of the theater. There's nothing like going to see James Bond on a Thursday night at midnight. We saw Skyfall together. Just the experience of going to see a big blockbuster in the movie theater on the big screen with a live audience. I love it. And I don't think that's going away. I just think it's going to be far and few between. And we're right in the middle of literally a fork in the road. Things are changing, and they're changing fast. Everything is going to adapt. It's going to evolve as any industry does. It's not going to stop it. We didn't stop watching movies when blockbusters closed down. We just started streaming them. And the platforms are getting better. And we're also seeing it's crazy how correlated basic or orthodox cable or satellite, how their subscriptions are dropping exponentially, along with what COVID has done with movie theaters. People are now, quote, cutting the cord and now just going to streaming services. My house, my Apple TV is on probably 90% of the time. My Direct TV is only on when I'm watching live sports or local news. So things are changing. Economically speaking, it's 150,000 jobs. It'll be absorbed elsewhere. But 70% of theaters closing permanently. Never thought I'd see that happen within a year.
Sorry, Carl.
No, I'm sorry, Drew. Go ahead.
I guess my question would be, from the studio standpoint, how do I want to phrase this? With the theater business gone, and them basically being their sole income being from these streaming services, it all comes back to how many subscriptions can they get, and how many dollars does that generate for them to make new content. Netflix runs at a loss, which is insane, but they do. And they keep cranking out more and more content. Movies that we're used to seeing, big blockbusters, are now like $200 million pictures plus. And then add to that marketing budgets and all that business. With the theater revenue gone and relying strictly on subscriptions, and how can we expect a huge budget slashing of what we are accustomed to for big movies? Like what's the future of this stuff going to look like? Because I don't think that, personally, just looking at some napkin math, it seems grossly unsustainable to expect what we have seen over the last, however long. Like, I can't see another $200 million movie happening on a streaming service.
Yeah, it's unsustainable, but unfortunately, it's going to be the platform it's happening on. And I don't think theaters or production companies are going to end up. And obviously, this is all speculation. I'm not in the movie business, but I'm a businessman, and I'm trying to think, how would they make this work? The product they're providing, I don't think can be sacrificed, the quality of it anyways. You have a generation who lately, in almost these big blockbuster films with effects and so forth, $250, $300 million to produce one of these. And you're going to see some savings, though. I was shocked to see how much of that revenue actually was put toward marketing. Right. So you figure flying actors and actresses around the world, doing premieres, physical advertising, billboards, and so forth. All that can be brought right to your screens now. Virtual interviews, there are savings there. What that is specifically, I'm not sure. It's still expensive to produce a big movie. But I think ultimately you're going to see the cost passed down on the consumer, because the consumer is going to be unwilling to give up the quality aspect of this. I mean, we've binged how many of these superhero movies. I mean, I'm in my glory. I'm 40. I'll be 42. And this was not around when I was growing up. I mean, Marvel, DC, every year there's multiple big name character movies that are coming out, or at least there were before this year. I mean, it was like too good to be true. And then it stopped, and the world came to a stop. I think you're going to see subscription packages change. I hate to say it. Are you going to start seeing commercials on Netflix and ads, because advertising dollars are huge? I don't know. Something's going to change. But if there's one thing I can promise you, they'll find a way to make the money. They'll find a way to make it up.
So, as Drew mentioned, Netflix operates at a loss, and that's been their traditional business model for as long as we know. How is that? I don't want to just keep rehashing the question, how is that sustainable? But, like, how long have they been doing it? And is that a reliable business model for a foreseeable future? So I don't know if they're necessarily running at a net negative or a loss. The productions, they're losing money on the amount of productions. But when you look at their bottom line gross revenue, and again, I'm just going off stock reports and so forth, they're reporting growing revenue streams. So they're picking up subscriptions. Last quarter, subscriptions were down a little bit. And the stock took a hit on the news of the vaccine, because people figured up a vaccine's coming out. And this always happens in the markets. News breaks, and then all of a sudden everyone thinks tomorrow the vaccine's out and we can all, no one's going to watch Netflix anymore.
Because no one watched it before. Yeah, nobody watched Netflix before the pandemic.
Exactly, right. I mean, so I think they are making money. I think their margins are going to be squeezed with producing more of these big blockbusters, and again, they don't have the ticket sales, the big pop, the impact of the ticket sales at the gate you get at these theaters around the country, but they're picking up subscriptions, and again, you're going to start to see advertising dollars pour in, and Netflix is going to look different. They just announced, I just got my notice that my subscription is going up $3 starting on January 1st. So subscription costs are going up again. And I think you're going to start to see more different levels of content they're going to offer. If you want premier access to some of these blockbuster films coming out, you, instead of paying $15 or $17 a month, you might pay $25 or $28 a month. And if those blockbusters or new movies that would have been out in theaters aren't important to you, you may be paying your $15 a month and just getting whatever they're providing. So I think you're going to start to see some of the subscription levels change. Much like when they first came out, you can have one DVD or you can have two DVDs sent to you. And there was a difference in price. So I think that's going to evolve. But looking at revenues, again, just looking at their charts, they are squeezing some profits out.
So obviously, I don't think theaters are going to completely 100% go away.
Mm-mm.
There's, like you mentioned, there's going to be a culling of the herd, and that's kind of unavoidable. What percentage of domestic theaters do you see? Like in our area, we have a fairly good selection of theaters.
Mm-hmm.
They're scattered out fairly well geographically. So just using our area, Western New York, as an idea, like you've got, the Walden Galleria Regal, you've got the AMC on Maple, you've got a Regal in Orchard Park, you've got a Regal in Buffalo and Elmwood. Like, just kind of looking at that field, how many of those do you see closing, and how soon or long do you feel this process is going to take?
I think we're probably, if vaccinations go as planned, and I promise I won't get political, but if vaccinations go as planned, and they're looking very promising, even with a few hiccups here and there, you have two facets. One is when everyone, or enough of the population becomes vaccinated. Now we have to watch the numbers start to come down in new cases and the hospitalizations and so forth. That may be, not happen until the fall. We may not be looking at the consumer being confident to go back into theaters maybe until 2022. So what you may see is a lot of permanent closures, and theaters go dark for maybe 8 to 10 months. But I will tell you this, there's going to be investors out there that are going to scarf up these theaters who, by the way, most of them have been recently renovated. So a lot of money has been poured into these theaters with new seating and screens and sound and so forth. I still think, while this is a disruptor, I do think we're going to see a resurgence in theaters, maybe not the number of theaters, but demand again. It also, if you look at the crowd going to these movies, they tend to be younger demographics. If you lifted the veil on this today, I guarantee you'd have full theaters or bars or restaurants out in different parts of the city, regardless of what's happening with COVID. So I do think there's going to be some pent up demand when the gates are finally opened. I think you're going to start to see people trickle in, and maybe a return to normalcy, but that may take 5 to 6 years before we start to see that theater business looking or resembling anything like it used to. There's also new technologies coming out. Carl, I talked to you the other day about virtual reality. I just got an Oculus Quest 2 for the first time, tried it out, went on Amazon Prime, and I'm sitting in an empty theater by myself watching a movie on whatever screen size I want. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I love the theater experience, but for a lot of people, as technology keeps improving, the theaters are going to be challenged, but I don't think they're ever going to fully go away. You may just see, I don't know, maybe half the theaters until demand picks up and warrants them opening more. But if there is enough demand, and I believe there will be down the road once confidence comes back, you'll see some theaters reopen, or, whether they're existing theaters that have closed or new complexes.
All right. So let's talk about something you want to talk about. Let's talk about some James Bond. We'll use the current James Bond movie as an example. MGM has been hurting for a couple of years now.
Big time.
Prior to COVID, they've always been like borderline. either going out of business or about to be bought by someone. I can't confirm this with any official source, but last I heard they were shopping the newest Bond film. What's the name of it again? No Time
No
to
Time
Die.
to Die.
No Time to Die. They were shopping it for $600 million.
Yep.
Is it feasible for a streaming service to purchase this, like in a lot, and show it on their streaming service? Because in a lot of ways, the Warner Brothers decision, because Warner Brothers, HBO, it's all the same company. It's all owned by AT&T. So they're kind of shipping their own goods to a different outlet. With MGM, they obviously don't have a streaming service. And if this $600 million price tag is, close to being accurate, what is the possibility of this actually being picked up by a different streaming service and being shown on there?
It's very likely. And it may be for more than that. Apple's sitting here as of last week. Apple has $191.8 billion in cash on their balance sheets. So when we see numbers like 700 million, that's daunting to us. They find that in the couch cushions. They can throw that up on Apple Plus and tweak something if they see it as a repeatable business model that could be profitable. They're ready and waiting to do that. They've got plenty of cash to do so. I think you're going to start to see not only the streaming services. I'm waiting to see some of these streaming services bought up by some of the big tech companies, i.e. Amazon, Apple. Microsoft may tip their toe into the water, although I haven't read anything yet, because this is kind of where the puck is going. There's plenty of money out there to scarf up these movies, and it all depends on, I think, what we're going to see. Warner Brothers was kind of the first. That was a bold move, and I think everyone's going to wait and see how that plays out. If that's successful for HBO Max, then I think all bets are off. I mean, this was a big deal. But yeah, I think it's very possible that you may see, and Apple came very close last month with the rights, and that almost came to fruition. And I know because I'm the guy who wakes up every morning, and one of the second things I do is search No Time to Die news and see what's happening with James Bond, and came very close. So I think it's very feasible for a company to, and it's not just a fanboy here wishing it happens because I'm impatient. I want to see it. I truly believe that these companies have the money to do that. The question is, and I don't have that answer, is a blockbuster of that magnitude on that platform profitable?
I guess that's the big question I have with all these movies. Like, you're saying they're gonna buy a Bond movie for $700 million, and they might have that money, but I don't see them recouping that money on that movie alone. So to me, it seems a real off kilter. But I'm sure one of them is crazy enough to do it, and hope that they can over time retain enough people that they gain from the movie. But I'm just big old shrug over here because this is all kind of uncharted territory. But my guts tell me though it doesn't add up.
I'm with you, Drew, and I guess my big question is, in any business model, the holy grail is recurring revenue.
Right.
These businesses, all right, let's say they make another blockbuster and it costs $300 million. Well, you're hoping to gain new subscribers to make up some of the difference.
Right.
But the people you already have once they've subscribed, they're not buying it again with each release. They're already there.
Yeah.
So you have that revenue. So when's the next one? When's the next wave? Are there that many new subscribers on a monthly and annual basis to make up for the cost in making these big productions? I don't know that. That's why I'm saying I think you have to find other streams of recurring revenue coming in with advertising dollars and so forth. That makes... pick up the tab. Otherwise, I've been a Netflix subscriber for, I don't know, 11 years. And yes, my fee's gone up once in a while, but that's not enough to fund all these blockbusters are coming out with.
Right.
So it's very interesting.
So one thing that Drew and I have talked about in recent years is how the number of these services are growing, the streaming services. And obviously you have your big, I would say at this point, probably your big four: Netflix, Amazon, Disney, HBO. But now, previously you saw like a lot of smaller ones: CBS All Access, Peacock, DC Universe. Marvel mentioned they were doing maybe something, obviously, with the advent of Disney Plus that went by the wayside. Does the market have space for the smaller services, or are they just eventually being born to be food for the bigger services?
It could be the latter. I don't know how they're going to maintain, or if one, inevitably, whether we're talking streaming services or grocery stores, if you have a little fish in a big pond who all of a sudden starts scarfing up market share, the big fish is going to swallow them up and just make them their own. So you're going to see consolidating streaming services and joining forces. I'm waiting the day for like Encore and Showtime and all these satellite cable channels to just merge and put their library together. Because otherwise, I don't know how they're going to survive.
All right. Do you have any good news for us, PJ? Give us. I don't want you to. Obviously, you do this for a living, and you got to eat too. So I don't want you giving away your livelihood. But
no.
Could share with us some good news and some positive outlook on what we have going forward, not just in this area, but in the larger economy, domestic and globally as a whole.
Well, I'll sum it up real quick. In order to understand, and this is, I promise, going to be positive. But in order to be positive, you have to realize where we've come from. So the downturn we saw in early 2020 was the sharpest and worst economic and market decline in United States history. And this is my one Jeopardy question I ask all my clients. You probably don't even remember, Carl, but I ask in meetings. Under what president was the stock market created under? Drew, do you know?
I don't actually know.
Okay, it's George Washington. And you have to realize that the U.S. economy has survived a civil war, 2 world wars, presidential assassinations, terrorist attacks, presidential administrations, protests, you name it, it just keeps marching on. And this was the first time in history that the global market literally turned off overnight. And unless you were selling toilet paper or groceries, I mean, you were struggling, and things got hit hard. That is something that they call a technical recession. It's not normal. They tend to be very violent and quick. The last one we had was Pearl Harbor. So these don't come around every year. This is like a once in a century event.
So not even 9/11 triggered it.
9/11 was a drop in the bucket compared to what we just went through. The Great Depression was the worst economic from a measurement standpoint prior to 2020 was the worst economic period we've ever seen. Our GDP bottomed out at minus 18% during the Great Depression. That's our country's growth rate. In June of this year, our GDP hit minus 36%. Blew right through the Great Depression numbers. Here's the positive news. Technical recessions tend to be very violent, but they're quick. And the economy was so strong going into this. We were not ready to go into a recession. This happened because an event occurred, kicked us off our bikes, put us on our backs. We're coming out of it quicker. And the markets are hitting all-time highs. The economy, people before the second wave, we're starting to go back to work. We now have a vaccine. this is going to be the fastest we've ever seen a vaccine brought forth. I mean, it's amazing what humanity can do when it works together. I mean, it truly is. And we believe we're going to see a fairly decent 2021. Once we can get this behind us, I mean, if anything, I believe things happen for reasons. And this made us miss the little things like, going places. And I can go to grab a bite to eat with my kids. I started to go see Sabre games with my son before all this. And I think you're going to see a lot of people, those who survived this, are going to want to go out and do things because A, they're afraid it's going to happen again and they want to get it in. And two, we've been pent up for a while. There are going to be a large portion of the population that's going to be afraid to go out for a little while, and that's going to happen. But we as Americans have short memories, and we're going to get over this. And, a few years from now, we're going to be looking much like probably we were before. Things will have always changed. I remember there was life prior to 9/11 and life after. Things are going to look different now going forward. You're going to have sneeze guards everywhere, and there'll be distancing if there's rumors of a virus overseas here and there. We're going to be gun shy for a while, but we're going to get back to life. And the good news is, though, that the financial sectors and businesses were in the best shape they'd been in 80 years going into this. It's not like we were teetering on a recession going into this. We were in very strong footing. And the consumer counts for 80% of our country's growth rate. So I believe still, based on the metrics I'm seeing, if people can get back to work, and the unemployment rate has skyrocketed back, and we're still down, but it's come way back from where it was in June. And they're already forecasting for growth late fourth quarter this year, early first quarter next year. So, we got through it. And I would say, and I don't want to say this too loud, it's 2020. And if a sea monster crawled out of the Gulf and started attacking Florida, I'd be like, that's about right. It's December. We're right on cue. We've literally faced the worst scenario we could have seen economically, and we survived it. And I think I think the worst is behind us. And I'm not trying to say that too loudly, but I believe the worst is behind us.
All right. So, and you, as we stated, you are an expert in these things. So, I'm gonna take you at your word. If it gets worse than this, I'm blaming you.
That's fine. You know where to find me.
So, okay, before we get you out of here, let's talk a little No Time to Die. What do you want from this film, PJ? You are the biggest Bond fan I know.
I made this call last year when I saw the first trailer. What's the actor's name who's playing the villain?
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek. My prediction is he becomes Dr. No. The whole thing has got a Dr. No type of feel to it. With the island, he's got that weird futuristic room in his lair. I'm guessing they're going to go with, they did Blofeld. I'm guessing you're going to see Dr. No in this.
All right.
You heard it here. I just hope this isn't a Diamonds Are Forever movie for Daniel Craig. I wanted to see him go out on top. It's cliche to say Connery's the best Bond. I'm a Bond geek, but truly I believe Daniel Craig is something special, and he's been amazing in that role. And I just don't want to see him with he should have gone out 2 movies ago. So I hope he finishes on a strong note. I hope it's a decent film. I really do.
Yeah, it's going to be hard not having Daniel Craig and James Bond anymore, because he has spoiled me for all other Bonds. Like they just seem campy and quaint next to the Daniel Craig Bonds.
The Roger Moore era was unwatchable, and I'm a Bond fan. They're horrible. And Timothy Dalton, I felt as though was a pretty good Bond with some good movies, but it fell short. I really, in my teenage years and in college, fell in love with Pierce Brosnan. Although it just kept jumping the shark with the last 2. And the Daniel Craig one just grounded everything and just brought it back and added a grittiness to it. And I also read the books, and Daniel Craig, aside from the hair color, is the closest physical depiction of what Ian Fleming wrote. So I fell in love with him as Bond. I'm going to be sad to see him go. Very interested to see who they're going to replace him with. I know there's been rumors. Tom Hardy's name has been out there. Very interesting to see who they're going to replace him with.
All righty. Drew, do you have anything for our guest?
No, we've covered a lot of ground, and I got some good information and had some questions answered, and this is all going to be very interesting going forward. So thank you for helping us out and help us get our heads around this.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you for coming, PJ. Let the people know if people are interested in retaining your services and getting some guidance for financials. Let the people know how they can contact you and how they can, retain your services.
Sure, thank you. Yep, we're right online, BuffaloWealthPartners.com. All one word, BuffaloWealthPartners.com is our practice's website. You can Google PJ DiPirro, and usually I'm the first result right on top. And our office number is 716-565-3880. Give us a call if you have any questions. Love to chat.
All right. PJ, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Okay, folks, that is going to do it for us this week on Devil's Due. It's been a crazy week, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of good information. We want to thank, again, Paul DiPirro for coming on to the show, sharing a lot of good information with us. Whenever we can get an expert on the show like that, obviously we like to try and do it. We've got a great show coming up for you next week with special guests. The owners of Pulp 716 Comics will be on the show, and we're going to talk a lot about some really cool stuff, and we'll be covering the Star Wars announcements from the Disney investor meeting that happened yesterday. So, that being said, if you would like to reach out to us, contact with us, send us any emails that will eventually be read on the show, I promise. You can find us at the following social media locations. You can follow us on Twitter at Devil's Due Pod. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Devil's Due Pod. You can email us at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdupodcast.com. Drew, that being said, any closing thoughts?
Jesus, Carl, we didn't even talk about video game news. So much. There's so much going on.
Folks, there's a remastered Ghost and Goblins coming to Nintendo Switch. So in case you've forgotten how to hate, Ghost and Goblins is back to remind you how to hate.
Remind me to remind you next episode. Something else got teased, and I don't know how to feel about it yet. So maybe by next week I'll have my thoughts in order. So remind me to remind you.
I shall.
It's near and dear to me, so we'll get there. I don't want to talk about it now.
All right.
So no closing thoughts. I need a nap. What a what a week. What a week. What a past couple of days. My God.
Yeah. It's been a pleasant change of pace from what 2020 has been.
Disney, you gotta give us a heads up next time. My God.
Yeah, you gotta warn us. All right, so folks, as always, we appreciate you joining us. We hope you stay safe, stay healthy. Happy Hanukkah if you are celebrating. Have a good time, and we will talk to you again soon.